Welcome back. Trucks all in line and fired up on pit road, about to roll out around this 2-mile racetrack. Again, newly repaved, at least for the trucks. The Cup Series, Nationwide Series have already run a race back earlier this year, but it will be the first run for the Truck Series on this newly repaved surface. Take a look at our starting lineup. Joey Coulter grabs his first career pole in the Camping World Truck Series, sets a new track record, and Nelson Piquet Jr. will start beside him.
Very strong second row. Miguel Paludo's been fast all weekend, as well as Kurt Busch. Again, back in the series after 11 years.
There's Ty Dillon, had a bit of a struggle yesterday in practice, but rebounded for a nice qualifying effort today. James Buescher, he's won 3 of these babies this year.
Yeah, on a roll. James Buescher very strong. Brad Keselowski still searching for that first win in the Camping World Truck Series. That's amazing to say after his success in the Cup and Nationwide Series, but still hasn't been to victory lane in the trucks.
Why don't we talk to him? We have an opportunity here. Let's see if we can talk to Brad Keselowski. Hey, Brad Keselowski, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's up, Phil?
Well, we're just up here getting ready to watch you guys as you roll off here onto the racetrack. And Brad, we know you're trying to develop this team, but the last 3 times you've been in one of your trucks, you finished in the top 3. How much more do you need to develop this team?
Enough to where it wins. We've been close, like you said, but we haven't quite got over that edge. I really, really want to be the first father-son duo to win a truck race. Been working hard at that. I know that would mean a lot to me and my dad and family, but I also want to have a team that can develop talent, whether that's on pit road or behind the wheel. So, you know, we're getting there, but I'm really excited about what we got going forward here with Ryan Blaney, and I think he's going to be really good, and we got good sponsors with Cooper Standard and Sequence, so it's about today now. We want to win at Michigan.
Well, we know how much you want to win in Michigan. You and I both from the state of Michigan, and the blood runs deep, but tell us about that great run you guys had last week at Watkins Glen. We're actually going to show a little video here of the last lap of that thing. You and Marcus Ambrose going at it.
You know, it was a great race, and it was one of those races where it's a shame we both couldn't win, but he's not in the field today. I wish he was. I have a lot of fun racing with him, but there's a bunch of great truck drivers here. These guys don't get enough credit. You got James Buescher and some of these guys up here that are going to be really strong and tough to beat. I got my work cut out for me racing them guys, so we got to focus on them, but certainly had a lot of fun last week too.
Well, that was a great job, and Brad, stay out of the dirt this week, will you?
No promises, man. If it'll help me win the race, I'll run through it every lap.
All right, buddy, thanks.
That's spectacular. All right, let's go back down to pit road and hear from Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, one of the big topics of conversation this weekend has been the shark fins that we've talked with the drivers, crew chiefs, about how much speed does it help the truck get? How much drivability does the driver lose on the racetrack, and what effect it'll have in a big pack of racing? Well, watching it from home today, the top 3 qualifiers have a shark fin on the back of the truck: Coulter, Paludo, and Piquet. But there's some good trucks right behind them, like the 18 of Kurt Busch, the 13 of Johnny Sauter, that do not have that shark fin. We'll have to see who's got the advantage when the green flag falls. Ray?
You know, Hermie, one of my favorite things about this series is how many different winners we've been having. You got to go all the way back to the middle of last October when we had a back-to-back winner, which was Ron Hornaday. So different winners every week, and so far this year, 9 different winners in 11 races. That's been a lot of fun. But as we look at the top 7 qualifiers, 4 of the top 7 have never won. Here's the list of the drivers who have won this series, and I'll tell you what, I think we got a lot of people that could add their name to that list tonight. We got to add Kurt Busch in there. Kurt Busch has won in the past, but he hasn't this year. I think the 18 is going to be strong. We just heard from Brad Keselowski. I think he could be a winner today. Let's add Parker Kligerman and Jason White to that list, and also the guys who qualified up front. The Turner Motorsports trucks are good, and I think today just may be Nelson Piquet's first win in the Camping World Truck Series. Guys?
Well, I think that's a pretty good prediction. Nelson Piquet Jr. extremely strong. We've got a few cameras that will ride along with these drivers. One of those being the guy you just talked to.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski, our Michigan native. We're going to ride along in that Cooper Standard Ram. Brad will start from the 10th spot.
Let's hop on board with Parker Kligerman. Parker's been a busy boy this weekend, practicing and qualifying one of Roger Penske's Cup cars. He's going to roll off 11th in the Red Horse Racing Toyota. First start for this team.
Remember, 11 years since this guy's been in a truck. He won 4 times as a rookie in 2000.
That's James Buescher,
That's James
Phil.
Buescher,
He's in the Wolfpack Reynolds Chevy starting 8th. Second here back in the Nationwide race just a couple of months ago. And so James knows how to get around here. Can he make that second place finish pay off for a win today.
There's the guy that hasn't been in a truck in 11 years. It's been so long I couldn't even find him. Kurt Busch, 4 times as a rookie. He got to victory lane in 2000. His last start here was in 2001 in the Truck Series. He's going to try to do it again for his brother Kyle, and he's driving the Shore Lodge Toyota. Starts 4th.
We've talked a lot about this new racing surface. Let's look at the particulars in our Auto Stop track description. The numbers for Michigan International Speedway.
They look innocent enough, right? Just a couple of miles around, 18 degrees of banking in the corners. Okay,
that's plenty of banking,
yeah,
right?
You would think so. Let's take a pickup truck and barrel off down in the corner at about 190 miles an hour. See how you feel about that 18 degrees then. This place is fast, and the groove is a truck width and a half wide. It's going to be wild.
And now our Ram race analysis, 35 trucks. This distance, 200 miles or 100 laps. But I think that pit window tells us you have to pit at least twice for this to win this race.
Yeah, and in track position after that last pit stop could be key getting into victory lane.
You saw we're going to pay almost $500,000 in purse. These guys don't care about that right now. They just want to win a race.
How about big picture? Here's your point standings, your top 5 this season. Timothy Peters now has an 8-point lead over Ty Dillon.
We've got 18 points separating our top 4 right now. We're already in the chase.
The chase for the NASCAR Camping World Championship has begun.
And our top 6 are all separated by 1 race, meaning that the guy in 6th place could come out of Michigan with the points lead today.
And we've seen stranger things in the Truck Series happen too.
Always promising to be great racing. Now, one of the things that has come up, people have talked about the groove and how narrow it is. How will you get by? If you've got a better truck and starting back a little ways, will you have to use the bumper to get by, or just use the air to loosen someone up?
I'm going to hope that we're going to wait till next Wednesday night to use the bumper. Let's just use a little bit of air to move people around here. Bumpers into a truck today could be a big crash.
Remember, Nelson Piquet thought Joey Coulter would pick the outside. He didn't. He picked the inside.
We'll find out if it works out for him. Here they come. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Michigan.
Good start by Coulter. Gets about a half a truck length on Piquet, but Piquet hangs there.
Piquet has the momentum on the outside now as they go into turn number 1. I talked about that groove being narrow. How will it work out side by side as they go through 1 and 2 and 3 wide back there?
And that groove isn't right on the bottom of the racetrack. It's about a lane and a half up off the bottom of the racetrack.
Phil, you said it was a lane and a half wide. How'd they go through their 3 wide already?
Maybe they weren't up to speed yet. They hadn't figured that out.
That's what these truck drivers do. These racers are aggressive. Races are short. You got to get it done in a hurry.
They are getting aggressive early through 3 and 4. Nelson Piquet Jr. has the advantage. Just behind him, Joey Coulter running second.
That's actually...
And how about the
rush up to second?
How about the run by Johnny Sauter already up to the 3rd spot on that restart? So Nelson Piquet, Kurt Busch, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, and Joey Coulter's falling back to 5th.
I think Joey Coulter has to re-examine that decision to start on the inside. I'm not sure we'll see another leader on the restart start on the inside the rest of the day.
I agree with you. I like the outside here because you can squeeze the guy down a little bit, and we've already heard the groove isn't on the bottom, it's right in the middle.
How important will clean air be? And can Nelson Piquet Jr. keep that truck up front with the clean air on the nose?
A couple of fast trucks right behind him. Those Toyotas are bearing down on him.
Remember, that 30 truck of Nelson Piquet Jr. has the shark fin. A little less downforce, a little less drag. Those 2 Toyotas behind him, all just about maximum downforce. Look at that last lap speed.
185 miles an hour.
That's faster than we were able to qualify. Usually in qualifying, you got the front end all taped off. You're right on the edge. That's the fastest you can go. But in a truck at Michigan, you put a little bit of draft into play. That's when the speeds pick up.
We're starting to work together already. We've only gotten 3 laps into this.
I like the way this 18 truck looks early. He's all over the back of Piquet. It's faster than Nelson right now.
Joey Coulter working to the inside of his teammate, Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon up high. Joey Coulter down low. Spreading out early on just lap 4. Nelson Piquet Jr. doesn't have a big gap over that 18, about a 1/10 of a second, but then it's Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Joey Coulter, your top 5.
We talk about the groove being a little narrow, Rick, and slick out there. You put somebody, you give me a choice to put anyone in a truck where the track is slick, I'm going to pick Kurt Busch. He's going to drive that baby on the edge of control, and he'll hang on to her.
That last lap, 187 for these guys. As fast as they went in practice all day long yesterday.
Nelson Piquet Jr. still out front. And it's Kurt Busch, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Joey Coulter. They're your top 5. Back a little further, James Buescher in 6, Miguel Paludo 7, Brad Keselowski 8, Justin Lofton and Matt Crafton rounding out your top 10.
Ty Dillon that time fastest truck on the racetrack. Joey Coulter second fastest. They're running 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and those trucks are faster than that's the fastest lap of the whole race. What Ty Dillon ran the last time by, up in the mid 187s.
192 miles an hour going in turn 1. We're hearing, Michael.
Still nose to tail up front. Will Kurt Busch just decide to ride back there behind the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr.?
No, that's not in his DNA. He's going to grab that lead as quick as he can, and he's all over Piquet.
That gap has stayed fairly close. A 1/10 of a second, and now looking to the inside as they go through 3 and 4.
See, Ty Dillon wants to stick his nose out there so he can get some of that air to plant the front end of that Chevrolet.
And he's also learning a little bit, Phil. How far down low in that white area in the grayer part of the turn can I go and make my truck stick? That's just a lesson that Ty Dillon learned right there.
Now Parker Kligerman in the 7 this week, looking to the inside of that 88 of Matt Crafton. We saw the pack closing in, and I say the word pack, we saw the group behind those top 2 closing in on the top 2. So it looks as though that aerodynamic advantage is going away a little bit for our leader because the guys are reeling him back in.
Saw Parker Kligerman, the 7 on the bottom. He couldn't make any ground. He was up beside of Matt Crafton, who's in front of Jason White, the 23 truck, and he lost all that ground trying to make it his way around the inside.
But I liked what I saw there. He went to the bottom. He was able to pretty much hold his own. Couldn't make any moves, but didn't get sideways. Was able to make it through the corner on the bottom. So these guys will start to widen that groove out. And you're right, Rick. That 3-pack truck behind our 2 leaders, a couple of 10ths a lap. They've been faster than our leaders.
Starting to work their way up and catch the 2 trucks that tried to pull away early on. Johnny Sauter just in front of Ty Dillon. Joey Coulter, pole sitter, just behind Dillon.
Johnny Sauter actually has the fastest lap. They brought it down to 38.41, Michael. Well into 187.5 range.
Sauter, Dillon, Coulter. 3, 4, and 5 right there. Just behind the top 2, Nelson Piquet Jr. and Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch talked about the adjustments he wanted to make for his truck were more for a short dash at the end of this race. He didn't want to have a loose truck or something that he couldn't handle if he had to really have that truck stuck to the racetrack. And right now it seems like we're having a long green flag run.
I love what my fantasy pick Ty Dillon is doing right now, Phil. We talked about the fact that truck wasn't where he wanted it yesterday. They struggled some. They worked on it overnight, qualified in the top 5. That last time by, he was down on the inside of Johnny Sauter, starting to kind of feel around if he can make that move. So he's definitely got a really fast truck.
We've only run 9 laps right now. At some point, we're going to have a little bit of slippage. These trucks will start slipping a little bit, and I think that may be what Kurt is waiting for right now, maybe for the handling to go away a little bit on Nelson Piquet's truck.
Right now, the 30 seems to be stuck to the racetrack as he has led every lap since the drop of the green flag, but he has been shadowed by that 18 of Kurt Busch. Nelson Piquet Jr. leading here in Michigan. Tomorrow on NASCAR Race Day, get your motor running in Michigan. Marcus Ambrose is going to discuss that amazing finish from the Glen. Plus, points leader Jimmy Johnson and wildcard contender Ryan Newman join us live. NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco from Michigan. Tomorrow, 10 Eastern, live on Speed. First caution comes out at Michigan. They're talking about debris on the backstretch.
Are you going to pit, Phil?
I don't think so. It obviously looks like it's pretty challenging to pass because the groove is so narrow. This doesn't get in our window where we can make it on one more pit stop, so I think we stay out here.
And as hard as it is to pass, I think we're going to see some caution. People are going to start to try to make moves on other guys, get a little bit loose on the bottom, and the action's going to pick up.
We heard the words give and take, and right now, so pretty much everybody's been giving.
They're on their best behavior right now.
This is the nicest we've seen them all year. But it looks like maybe they're thinking about coming.
It does look like they're coming. Looks like
Aaron's is awful nice as well, giving Jennifer Jo Cobb
stay
a
out.
lap back.
Almost all of them are coming except Brad Keselowski.
I like staying out, Hermie. What are they saying on pit road?
Well, Marcus Richmond is bringing Ty Dillon in. It'll be fuel only, and adding a little bit of tape to the nose of this truck, trying to get a little bit more downforce, a little bit free on entry is only complaint from Ty Dillon. Ray?
Should be only about 5 seconds worth of fuel what you need here, Hermie. So I'm standing in the 30 pits. Nelson Piquet Jr. gets the front of his nose cleaned off a little bit. They're at 4 seconds, and the thing is fuel. There is 5. They'll let him go. The 30 truck will be the first one off pit road. He should have a good battle down there with the 6. Looks like the 18 may be out third.
I think Joey Coulter clipped him, Ray, right at the line. Used that good starting or pit stall that he had to grab a spot away from Kurt Busch.
Look at Jay White, gained 4 spots, comes out in the 6th position. You know, Ron Hornaday's guys have been under the hood, but I think right now they figure you can go about 35 laps, especially on the first run, because they were not allowed to top them off on fuel after qualifying. And they say, hey, if this race goes another 20 laps, then we're going to be back on pit road anyway for fuel. So I think that's why most of the field did come down the pit road, but Brad did stay out.
Brad stays out. He was running 8th and decides that he wants to be up front.
What happened to Todd Bodine down on pit road?
And it looks
gas
as though
can's going to get caught.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
It's going to slide just out of his pit box, and that's going to cost him a stop and go.
You know, we've seen Brad Keselowski in Cup races stay out, grab some track position, and he hasn't qualified great in Cup this year, and he's used that strategy to get up front, and once he got up there, he stayed up there. I think that experience, what he's done this year, led him to that decision.
We'll see if it pays off when we restart. He'll get the choice, inside or outside line here at Michigan. Flies here at Michigan for the restart. On the inside, Nelson Piquet Jr., Brad Keselowski on the outside, and Nelson Piquet Jr. trying to make that lower line work, but here comes the momentum of the 29.
A lot of the guys said that the easiest time to pass is going to be on the restart. You see Nelson Piquet Jr. going after that lead. Brad wants to keep it.
Oh, look at Kurt Busch to the bottom.
And Kurt Busch to the lead.
What a run Kurt Busch had coming off turn 2.
Yeah, he pushed Keselowski to the lead, but while he was pushing him, gaining momentum, pulled out and made the slingshot pass down into turn 3. How cool is that?
Now look at these trucks. Now we saw them running single file before the caution. Now they're all side by side.
And it looks as though Nelson Piquet Jr. right up on the back bumper of that 3 of Ty Dillon, trying to push him into turn number 1.
I love a good slingshot pass.
And the draft is so important here. These trucks punch such a big hole, and they're going so fast at this racetrack.
How about the lead now that Kurt Busch has put on Ty Dillon?
Ty got a little bit of a drafting assist down the front there from Brad Keselowski, and they drove on up toward the back of Kurt Busch. I think they're faster than Kurt this lap. But that 30 truck of Piquet, we watched him on the initial start drive right around Coulter, and on that one, he was ahead of Keselowski when they got to turn 1. Brad got a big push from Kurt and got the lead back, but that 30 truck's got a lot of speed in it.
How about the 3? Looking to the inside for the lead. Ty Dillon goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
Not as much grip down there yet. His left side's down in the gray area, but he hangs in there, stays with him.
Watch this run. Watch this run Brad Keselowski gets. Thank you very much. I'm going to the bottom.
Rewind as they go into turn number 3 for the lead. Keselowski takes it away from the 18 and the 3.
And don't think this isn't a blast for these guys. How about Kurt going back after that lead?
Kurt wants it back as they come out of turn 4. Kurt all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll take the lead back and bring Ty Dillon with him.
What a different looking race we have right now than we had to start. Now about Joey Coulter making it 3 wide, going by his teammate.
Joey Coulter looking to take second away from Brad Keselowski right now.
You know, nothing like an early caution to get everybody back on their game. These guys, they threw the green, they single filed out. Caution comes out early in the race, and action picks up.
Kurt Busch back out front in the 18. Parker Kligerman running, the 29 of Brad Keselowski running second. Take another look.
Look at this run Keselowski gets.
We talk about the big hole these trucks punch in the air when they get them side by side. It's amazing how fast that'll bring that third place truck.
Yeah, we were riding along with the 29 of Brad Keselowski. Look how close he is to the 3 as he goes by.
I had to use a little body English to miss him.
You think Brad knew what he was going to do the whole time? So he came off turn 2?
As soon as they got side by side in front of him, he knew exactly what he was going to do.
And he has another run as he's reeling in that 18 of Kurt Busch.
Look at that stout 30 truck. He's driven up to the 3rd spot. Ty Dillon struggling a little bit on the bottom. He's able to get back in line. Here comes our James Busher to the inside of Parker Kligerman.
And Ty Dillon was just up there running for the lead, and now he's dropped back, and Ty Dillon scored in the 6th position.
See those guys they can get there on the inside, but it's hard to complete the pass because they're running so fast above them. Nobody's slipping, it doesn't look like.
Miguel Paludo was out of line there in the 32 down at the bottom part of the racetrack. Now he slips back up and tries to get a little bit of the aero advantage of running nose to tail with some of these other trucks. And tell you what, an amazing run that 29 of Brad Keselowski has had already early in this race, Herman.
Well, Ricky stayed on the racetrack to get some track position. Unfortunately, was not able to really take off and get out front like he wanted to. The issue for the 29 could be fuel coming up here pretty quick. They say they have to pit by lap 33 to get fuel if they don't get a caution before then. So we'll have to see if this gamble pays off for the 29.
How about Nelson Piquet Jr. going for the lead? Got by the 29. Now he looks to the inside of the 18.
Not sure he's going to clear him, is he, Michael?
Kurt's going to make sure he doesn't. But that 30 truck, he's the guy today. If he can ever get out in front of these guys, he might be the only one that can drive off from them. Look at him go down the straightaway.
Again to the inside of the 18, trying to take that top spot away. On the initial start of this race, he was able to jump out front and lead until the caution came out. Now he's working his way back up to the front, but can he get by that 18?
Remember, that truck's trimmed out. It has that shark fin down the tailgate, and he's going to clear Kurt, almost clear Kurt when he gets to turn 1.
So close. Here comes the momentum of the 18 running the higher line. And a bobble. Nelson Piquet Jr. bobbles, has to catch it, races up the track.
Here comes Brad Keselowski. You can't slip in this race. You slip a little bit and somebody's going to be all over you. 3 wide into turn 3.
Brad Keselowski was hoping that Joey Coulter would jump in behind him, push him by Piquet, but he decided to make it 3 wide. Now it's Coulter side by side with Piquet.
Would you guys agree that the groove has widened a bit?
These guys are widening it. It's widening as we speak.
It may not be any wider, but they're making it work somehow.
Well, Nelson Piquet Jr. has been working on the bottom of the racetrack, and for some reason that truck's working, but how about the 3 wide battle for second?
I think Piquet thought better about that as they entered turn number 1. He didn't want to be up in the gray stuff. We saw that happen so many times. Guys lose control. We saw Dale Jr. lose control in the final Cup practice when he got out of the black.
Along with our leader, Kurt Busch, he spun out during that Cup practice too. That just tells you, you run these things on the edge. Look, sideways a little bit up front.
That's Coulter sideways. It pushes Piquet up in the gray.
So Coulter trying to get the momentum back after he's lost a bit now, and here comes James Buescher to the inside, making it 3 wide.
I told you, you slip, somebody's going to be all over you. He slipped, and look at him in the middle of a 3 wide mess.
Take a look at the 29 on the right side of your screen. He splits the 22 and 30.
The Coulter truck went down low to block. Brad said, okay, that's fine. Watch this move.
It opens up, and he takes advantage.
Yeah, Brad may have went all the way to the inside if it would have been open, but when they left the middle open, he said that'll work too.
Left side of your screen, we see the 7. Parker Kligerman making his way up. Just in front of that 22 of Joey Coulter. Ray Dunlap.
And talking about that Ripid Energy drink Chevrolet, Coulter says his right rear is not working at all. He feels like it's not even into the racetrack, so they're going to make a wedge and an air pressure adjustment for him on the next round of pit stops.
God, this is amazing. And you know, Phil, we've seen trucks race together like this at Daytona and Talladega. They can't do it forever. Someone's going to slip and get into the side of another truck, and we're going to have a crash because this is just so hard. These guys are showing you how hard it is when they get sideways and slip. But in a minute, I believe somebody's going to slip, and it's going to cost.
Brad Keselowski's headed to pit road now, even coming in earlier.
How about Jay White making the run by that 31 of James Buescher? So Keselowski on pit road now, Herbie.
Yeah, Rick, they wanted to get up front and get good track position, not able to do that. They short pitted a little bit earlier than what they told me they were going to have to pit, but it's going to be 2 right side tires, 2 cans of Sunoco fuel, and a little bit of an air pressure adjustment for Brad Keselowski.
There's a chance with only doing 2 tires that he may be able to get out in front of our leader, and that's maybe why they short pitted, so they didn't have to put so much fuel in.
James Buescher going by John West Townley. We ride along with him as he comes up on Miguel Paludo now in the 32.
He's not going to make it out. Brad is not going to make it out in front of our leader. Kurt's going to go by him right about now.
Puts him a lap down.
That's just a time where you don't want to make a mistake. You're going to be a lap down anyway. Just don't speed on pit road. Pit crew does a good job. Take your medicine and see how it plays out. If these other guys have to pit here at a bit, he'll be back in great shape. If not, he'll try to take advantage of the Aaron's lucky dog that'll be awarded to the first guy lap down, which will probably be Brad.
Or a wave around. Either way, he's got a couple aces in his hole. Aces in the hole.
Kurt Busch out in front. Nelson Piquet Jr. a 1/10 of a second behind him. Running second, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Joey Coulter. They're your top 5. Parker Kligerman, Justin Lofton, Jason White, Dakota Armstrong, and Miguel Paludo are your top 10. Ray, how are they dealing with the clean air up front, that 18 team?
Kurt Busch is having a ball, guys. He just came on the radio and said, woohoo, this is a blast. I love it when we're in traffic. But right now I'm not learning anything about what we should do. So tell the 30 to come on by. I'm going to let him pass. I want to follow him a little bit to find out what this thing does in dirty air. So watch for a lead change here any second.
That would be amazing for Kurt to pull up. It's like he's testing out here.
Exactly.
If he lets Nelson Piquet go by. I think if he does let him go by, they've run together enough. They've got about a 3-second lead over the third place truck. They know they won't lose that gap if he lets them go by.
Kurt Busch, Nelson Piquet Jr. separated themselves from the pack, but it has been pack running and side by side. Amazing. 3 wide racing into turns 3 and 1 here at Michigan. Inside. Kurt Busch on the outside. Those two have separated themselves from the pack by 3 seconds, but now they're door to door for the lead.
Look at Nelson Piquet all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack. That's a hard row to hoe there, and he isn't able to complete the pass. We heard some talk on the radio that Kurt said he was content to ride second, but it doesn't look like he is.
It doesn't look like it. It would have been awful easy just to back off just for an instant to let Nelson get in front of him, but didn't happen.
All of Nelson Piquet Jr.'s passes have been on the bottom of the racetrack. He's been able to drive it in there a little bit harder than everyone else and slide up the racetrack to take those positions.
Did you see Kurt dip to the bottom that time at the exit of turn number 4? And look, it gave him a couple truck length gap. He may have learned something from what Nelson Piquet Jr. was able to do.
Well, Nelson is certainly going places where no one else is. And I know there's a lot of guys that are going to race here tomorrow that are liking where Nelson Piquet Jr. is going. Give them some options of ways to pass and a different groove to run. He's making it work right on the back of Kurt Busch, driving way down on the low side of the racetrack.
Pretty much everyone pitted on lap 14. We talked about that pit window being upwards of 40 laps. So you're looking at a lap 55 pit window right now, and we've got 20 laps to get there. So right now, are we seeing guys kind of feel out what their truck is doing in these longer runs, maybe expecting a long run at the end of this race?
Certainly, and there's one guy that's waiting for those other trucks to pit. He's second in line there. That was Brad Keselowski. He's gone a lap down. He is our first truck 1 lap down.
And just outside of the top 10 is the 11 of Todd Bodine. How are they doing, Herbie?
Well, Rick, the 11 of Todd Bodine, last caution, they came to pit road and were penalized for dragging equipment out of the pit box. They took advantage of that penalty, came back down pit road, got 4 tires and fuel. Also want to update Ron Hornaday. This morning in pre-qualifying inspection, they had to raise the front of that truck up to get through inspection. It was too high for qualifying, so they came back in under caution and lowered the nose of that truck back down to the racetrack, and Ron Hornaday is slowly making his way back to the front. Ray?
Let me add on Matt Crafton. That number 88 truck qualified 13th today, and in the last 5 races, he scored more points than anybody. His average finish in those events, 3.4. But today, that truck is wicked loose. He said on a 1 to 10 scale, it's about an 8.5. Terrible, terrible loose. They're trying to work with the fans in there to change air pressure, but Matt Crafton way in the back.
And caution has come out for the second time, and once again, it's debris on the backstretch.
And Brad Keselowski is in position to get the lucky dog. He can come to pit road, do all his pit work. He's going to have to restart at the back, but he is going to be back on the lead lap and back in sync with everybody else.
There's the debris that the caution flies for.
Maybe a
piece of a brake duct, a little piece of a brake duct, it looks like.
So as you mentioned, Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 29 of Brad Keselowski, trying a little bit different pit strategy than everyone else.
It didn't work. I mean,
it didn't work.
He lost a lot of track position here, but it was a gamble that he felt was worth taking.
Is that a balloon? It's a lemon balloon.
It's not a watermelon, is it?
It is not a melon.
No, I didn't think so.
I think that's, don't they put candles in those and then the heat makes them rise up? I'm not positive, but I think that's what that was.
Let's stick to these pit stops.
Exactly. We'll talk more about racing than balloons. Guys looking like they're ready to go over the wall. It's time to change tires.
Yeah, most everybody did fuel only. Todd Bodine, when he had to incur the penalty, came back and put tires on. Brad Keselowski put tires on, but it doesn't matter for Brad. He could come in and do fuel only, and he's still going to have to restart at the back because of the Aaron's lucky dog.
This week, the teams were all given 6 sets of tires for the weekend. 2 of those sets had to be turned back in because the first practice yesterday was more or less considered a test session, and then the practices that we had after that. Now on pit road, we go down to Hermie.
Ty Dillon brings a 3 truck to pit road. They will get 4 tires this time because they got 2 tires on the last stop. No changes to the truck because they're waiting to get this truck in clean air to see how it handles. Ray?
No changes on my end either, Hermie. You see in the middle, there's Nelson Piquet's Auto Track Chevrolet. At the top of the screen, Kurt Busch in the Shore Large Tundra. These guys saying they like it. Kurt said he had a small amount of vibration in the right rear right before they came to pits. These guys came in 1 and 2. Kurt had said multiple times he's willing to follow, but a couple of guys must have gone with 2 tires, including the 11 of Todd Bodine. The 30 will roll off. Good battle down there. Looks like the 30 and the 18 continue to be side by side.
Johnny Sauter troubles on pit road. He loses 4 spots, but John West Townley looks like he's going to do some pit strategy, gaining 10. And of course the 11 of Todd Bodine made up 9 spots, so pretty big pickup for Bodine. And that team, VFW 200 presented by Ram here on Speed, continues after this.
The whole weekend. Good crowd in the stands. The infield's packed. Roger Curtis has just done such a great job of promoting this track, letting folks know that Michigan is a fan-friendly, family-friendly environment, and the racing is great. I think this new pavement has everybody's interest peaked as well. They come here to see what all this speed's all about, and they're being rewarded with an amazing truck race so far today.
Yeah, 200-mile-an-hour speeds in the Cup Series, qualifying last time in June 203.5, almost 200 this time.
A lot of energy. Your fellow Michiganders have showed up, and this is a fun day.
Hermie.
Rick, the 11 of Todd Bodine, we talked about last caution, had to come back in because of a penalty. Took 4 tires this time, fuel only to get track position. Also wanted to update the 32 of Miguel Paludo. He came back down pit road after a slow initial pit stop, came back down pit road, took advantage of the opportunity to add some tape to the nose of this truck. Could not get the oil temperature up as high as they would like, so took advantage of another trip to pit road to correct that. He's back on the racetrack, and they topped it off with fuel also.
And that's going to help too. That more tape on the front grille is going to help that truck down the straightaway with speed.
Phil, a couple trucks up front. Todd Bodine, we saw him earlier dragging equipment out of his pit and going to the back. He's now leading the race. John West Townley second. I was watching that. They were running 11th and 12th. They've been together all day long. They started 15th and 16th. They were running 11th and 12th earlier when when PK and Busch were leading. They were the fastest trucks on the track a couple of laps. So those 2 trucks have speed. Now they have track position, but John West is really inexperienced. So he's going to have to be careful. You get pinched down on the bottom there, and you could cause a problem.
Best career finish last time out of Pocono for John West with an 8th.
Outside line chosen by Todd Bodine for this restart. John West Townley will start on his inside as they're 2x2 coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
Remember, this is the most vulnerable time for these guys right on the restart. Best time to make passes too.
Here goes Kurt Busch making it 3 wide early on the restart. See if he can make that inside line work.
How about PK up there pushing Bodine on the high side?
And staying in that high line as we see Kurt Busch keep to the lower part of the racetrack. Trying the shorter way around, and now he'll come up to challenge for second to the inside of Nelson Piquet Jr.
Remember, Brad Keselowski's back there in all that mess.
I was going to say, I was really surprised we didn't see somebody make it 3 wide. It looks like James Buescher may have made it 3 wide on the inside there, but about 6 rows back.
This is synchronized driving. I don't see how they can do it all day long. An amazing job so far, but there's not a lot of grip. These 18-degree bank turns, it's a handful.
How about the run, the 29 of Brad Keselowski had there? He's working the high side of this racetrack now. We've seen a lot of guys make the passing on the low side, but now Keselowski working a little bit higher around the racetrack.
And remember, he's in sync with everybody else, pitted the same time they did. He just lost all his track position.
Battle for the lead. It's Kurt Busch once again charging to the front as he's able to get by Todd Bodine, and he brings with him that 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr.
I'm like you, Michael. I like the way that 30 truck works on the bottom of the racetrack. That may come in handy a little bit later towards the end of this thing.
And it's got a whole lot of straightaway speed. He has the shark fin on the back of that truck. That means down the straights, he's as sleek aerodynamically as he can be, but yet it's still working well in the corners, being able to run real low.
James Buescher way down there at the bottom of the racetrack trying to make the passing as we ride along with Brad Keselowski.
We heard Brad have to back off a little bit in this heavy traffic. He's right behind Ron Hornaday. Hornaday is behind Dakota Armstrong.
Now single file with the exception
Johnny
Sauter.
Looking to get around Todd Bodine. And John West is hanging right in there. He's still hanging around with his buddy Todd Bodine, and they're in the top 5. Watch this push he's able to give Bodine down the front straightaway. They'll do away with Johnny Sauter.
Jay White's going to hang in there with him as well.
Those two are going to get some help from Jason White as well as Ty Dillon in the 3 working that higher line. And we're also seeing Joey Coulter work to the bottom of the racetrack. He makes the pass on the 13 of Johnny Sauter. As you guys mentioned, they make light work of Johnny Sauter as he drops back.
Coulter had a real good break there. Jason
Sideways goes the 11 of Todd Bodine.
John West got into the back of Todd Bodine off turn 2.
And they spread out down the backstretch. A lot of concrete back there, a lot of asphalt, so they have places to go.
And thank you, Roger Curtis, for paving that whole area of this racetrack too.
How amazing is
I don't
that?
think I hit anything. I got tires flat.
Back in the
Take care of
day,
the tires. I'll tell you where the pace car's at. Guys, we spun off at 2.
There's some damage to the left side of that truck.
Somebody hit me.
See the damage to the left rear quarter panel. I'm like you, Michael. It looked like John West got in the back of Todd.
he definitely hit him with the right front, turned Todd around. Those two had pushed by Johnny Sauter, were working really well together. So be interesting to see if John West slipped or what happened off turn 2.
It's going to be right side of your screen.
Oh, sideways.
He got loose underneath Todd and then had to move up the racetrack to catch it, and then he made contact with Todd.
Look at
How
the
about Joey Coulter going through there?
And is that Parker Kligerman that slid through as well? Great job at 170 miles an hour.
Those two running 3rd and 4th when this happens.
He had such a huge run. Todd must have been out of the throttle there for just an instant.
Look at
Jay
Jason
White turned hard left.
He's lucky that thing stayed straight. And you're right, Phil. All that pavement over there, back in the day, that was grass. And if you came off turn 2 and got loose, you were going for a ride.
James Buescher, this is the view he had. Todd sliding down the back straightaway. And again, James Buescher comes off that corner at 170 miles an hour, and he sees the truck sideways in front of him.
Just a mistake there by John West. He had a run, and he and Todd had worked so well together. It'd been probably wise for him just to roll off and maybe kept working with his buddy Todd. They were running 3rd and 4th, and instead got loose and got into Todd. And watch these guys scramble when these trucks start spinning.
An amazing job by Joey Coulter to avoid that. He was right behind them.
Along with Parker Kligerman, he was in a mess too.
And about everybody else.
Yeah, everybody did a great job, and spreading out on that back straightaway is key to that missing that mess.
Hermie Sadler.
Todd Bodine's been to pit road. He put right side tires on, got him back on the racetrack. They're going to have to come back, put left side tires on. A lot of damage to the left side of the truck, especially around the left rear wheel. So they're going to have to work on that, get some clearance, and also put some tape behind the rear tire between there and the back bumper. So other than that, no real chassis damage doesn't look like, but a lot of cosmetic damage to the 11 truck.
And when you're going 185 miles an hour, cosmetics are important.
Yeah, aerodynamics so important here at Michigan International Speedway. Again, first contact during this race. And a great crowd on hand here at Michigan International Speedway. And they're seeing a great race.
And we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, it's getting ready to continue, Rick. And every lap that goes by, the sense of urgency goes up. And these restarts have been so much fun to watch. Let's see if the second row can jump around the first row like we saw in the last start.
Green flag goes back in the air.
How about our man Jason White? We talked about him having a fast truck yesterday in practice. He's up there in that second row alongside Joey Coulter, our pole sitter. Looks like that high side's going to work.
Nelson Piquet Jr. has been comfortable down there in the bottom of the racetrack. He goes side by side with Kurt Busch once again for the lead. Coming out of turn number 2. Door to door down the backstretch.
Who gets the most help? That may be who leads this thing getting down into turn number 3.
And I think it's now Jason White pushing Kurt Busch past Piquet, but darn, it's impressive what he can do down on the low side with that truck. You can see there he's able to inch ahead of Jay White. Jason's hanging on the outside, but Nelson will get in. Barely.
Halfway point. They're being shown the cross flags. Kurt Busch, Nelson Piquet Jr., and the caution comes out. Problems in turn 4.
Oh, wow.
Big hit by Todd Bodine. Look at the back of that truck.
That doesn't even look like a truck anymore.
No, he obviously had an aerodynamic deficiency probably from that earlier incident, or maybe had a tire rub and maybe lost a rear tire.
Yeah, or we'll just have to see. There's a lot of traffic back there where Todd was. That's a big.
Yeah, that truck is shortened.
Yeah, certainly did. Tough break for Todd. I know he won the first nationwide race we ever had here back in the mid-90s.
Oh, all by himself.
Yeah, all by himself.
Watch this thing. Couldn't hit it much square, could it?
Yeah.
Much more square.
Shorten that truck up by probably 2 feet.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, tough break for that Red Horse team.
So the safety crews go to work on getting the 11 truck off of the infield, as well as taking care of Todd Bodine. They'll put him in the ambulance, and he'll head off to the infield care center where he'll be checked out. Mandatory anytime you're not able to drive your truck back to pit road, you have to make that ride to the ambulance.
Here you see Todd
in the ambulance to the infield care center.
Todd jumping out.
Last few weeks have been really rough on this team and this champion driver. Obviously had a fast truck today, and this all started by an accident that came off coming off turn 2 that was of none of Todd's makings.
Right.
Just got run into.
Yeah, they had made a little bit of a gamble on pit road. They were able to get out front. They were running 3rd and 4th between Todd Bodine and John West Townley, and John West Townley just got a little bit loose and clipped Todd, and that's what caused the problems initially, and then obviously problems there on that restart. We see Norm Benning grabs the Aaron's lucky dog, so he will get a lap back. That will put 23 on the lead lap here at Michigan.
Kurt Busch, the 22-year-old phenom, his 2 victories came in Milwaukee and at Loudon. For Kurt Busch, his 3rd career victory in his rookie season.
We said he was young, aggressive, and talented. He proved all of it today.
Kurt Busch is going to win for the 4th time, setting a record for a rookie. Kurt Busch is one tough Rookie of the Year.
And who would have ever thought that 22-year-old Kurt Busch would not only come into this series and win 4 times, but finish 2nd in the championship.
And once again, Kurt Busch out in front of a truck race. But as we just saw, it's been 11 years since he has been behind the wheel. But now he's got his hands full with that 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr.
Nelson's been strong from the drop of the green flag. Obviously strong in qualifying. It's going to be a good battle to the end here, I think.
You know, I don't think Kurt Busch has lost a step in 11 years. He's just as strong as he ever was. But these restarts, that second row is the wild card in these restarts, because if they just jump it a little bit, especially the guy starting on the inside of row 2, jumps it a little bit, starts pushing on Nelson Piquet, and then whips out, we see how effective that is. We've seen driver after driver make a slingshot into the turn.
We saw Joey Coulter win the race at Pocono from the second row on a restart.
Kurt Busch, the numbers, the wins that he has in all 3 series, 24 in the Cup Series, 5 nationwide and 4 trucks.
2 nationwide wins this year. Once in Kyle's car and once in James Finch's car.
Ray, we've completed our 53rd lap, going on lap 54. Is fuel going to be an issue?
Well, you never know at this racetrack, Rick, and obviously somewhere around 36 is our window here, so if you just pitted, you can't make it all the way. But I did want to point out the fact that Kurt Busch and the 30 and those guys were last on pit road on lap 39. A guy like Matt Crafton just came down pit road and pitted and put fuel in at 53. That opens a pretty big window if we were to go green for a long stretch.
We saw what happened to Brad Keselowski when he elected to stay out the first round of pit stops. The fact that he ended up a lap down, had to use an Aaron's lucky dog to get back on the lead lap.
We'll see how it works out. Once again for Nelson Piquet Jr., he's been very strong on the restarts, as has the 18 of Kurt Busch.
I don't see long green flag runs anymore. I think these guys have caution's going to stay out for another lap.
It again.
But I see these guys as it becomes later and later in the race and more urgency, we're going to see some more contact.
They got another lap of caution. We'll take a quick break and be right back to the green flag. VFW 200 presented by Ram, about to get underway once again. Green flag back in the air. Kurt Busch, Nelson Piquet Jr. side by side as they race to the stripe.
In the second row may dictate who leads as they get down into turn number 1.
Looks like Johnny Sauter's got a bit of an edge over Jason White. Jason down on the bottom. Sauter makes a good run off turn 2 and gets a hold to the back of Kurt Busch. They'll fly by Nelson Piquet Jr.
Up the racetrack, contact made, 1 and 2. Nelson Piquet goes sideways. Nelson Piquet Jr. got up the racetrack, hit the 18. That brings the caution out again.
He just sucked the back end out from him, that's all.
And not a lot of damage to the right side of that truck where he hit the 18.
Nice job by Nelson Piquet Jr. to save that. And again, Roger Curtis for having a bunch of pavement down there at the inside of the racetrack at the exit of turn 2. Take another look at it, and now watch. He's going to have to chase that truck up the hill as he gets sideways.
Look at Jason White, had the same thing happen. You see trucks going by him. Nelson didn't let off. When he made contact with Kurt, the thing went around, but man, he never quit driving it, did he?
Sure did. That's heads up driving by Nelson Piquet. Watch this now. You see Jason White, it happens to him first, and then it happens to Piquet.
Piquet has run down there all day long, and we talked about synchronized driving and how difficult it is to run side by side here. That's an example of it.
Yeah. And that's the exit of the corner, probably, I don't know, maybe 10 miles an hour slower than if they were up to full speed. It takes these trucks a while to get wound up.
What about the job he does just keeping it going in the right direction once he spins out? I guess officially he didn't never really spin out.
There's so much room down there now on the backstretch. That used to be, as we talked before, mostly grass. We've seen people get upside down in the grass down there.
Ernie Irvan comes to mind. He flipped all the way down the back straightaway back in the 90s.
Let's go back to the infield and Hermie Sadler.
Well, Todd, but now we got to quit meeting like this at the infield chaos center. Hard hit for your truck. Tell us what happened prior to the last accident and what happened to put you out.
I don't know what happened on the first deal, Hermie. I don't know who pushed up and got into me, whatever. You know, the aerodynamics on these trucks is so sensitive that you get really aero pushy and real aero loose. I mean, that's what happened to Nelson here. Okay, I don't know who that is, but got in the corner. Probably just got aero tight and pushed into me. You know, that happens. But we had our Toyota Care Tundra was fast, man. It was just a little free getting in, but right there I was on old tires compared to those guys all on the fresh tires. I was just gonna, you know, get at the top groove and let them all go under me. And you know, I knew I wasn't gonna hold them off. I wasn't gonna lead the race, but we were going for some track position, a little strategy. Rick did a great job calling that, and just didn't pay off. But you know, this 11 team's tough. It's a great team. We've been fast every week. It's just, you know, you'll have years like this. You know, nothing goes right.
That's Todd Bodine. He's out for the day. Rick.
Next time we see Nelson Piquet Jr. bringing the 30 onto pit road, right?
Guys, this is their last set of tires. They are hanging 4 on here, making sure they pack this thing full of fuel. This is lap 57. This may be a call that works out great. Nelson said he had a whole bunch of vibration in that truck. Right as that wreck happened, a number of other trucks were down here for fuel only, but PK's going to have his last set of tires and fuel, and they're going to be very tight on their window of making the distance with just a little bit of extra caution.
And what it gives them, too, is an opportunity to put less fuel in than the guys that didn't pit when they do make their pit stop if it comes under green.
This time it was a wild ride, battling for the lead for Nelson Piquet Jr. Well, our most recent caution was brought out racing for the lead. Nelson Piquet Jr. working to the inside of the 18 of Kurt Busch, who has run very strong all day. A little contact made as Nelson Piquet Jr. got loose and had to chase it up the racetrack. But the 18 of Kurt Busch was able to stay straight and stay up front. Now that has opened the door for the 13 of Johnny Sauter to move up into that second spot. He will also start on the inside, so Kurt Busch once again has chose the outside line for this restart.
I'm waiting for somebody in the second row to make it 3 wide. That's what I'm waiting for. As we get down closer to the end, I think we're going to see that.
Well, we saw Kurt Busch do it earlier with a big run on John West Townley as they drove down into turn 1. But you're exactly right, Phil. It'll be interesting to see what row 2 here does. You got Ty Dillon and Parker Kligerman. See if they can make a run on these 2 leaders.
2 youngsters back there following a couple veterans. We'll find out what happens. Green flag back in the air. Johnny Sauter with a great restart, surging ahead of that 18 as they go to turn 1.
We saw that happen a lot there with Piquet down there in the bottom, but Kurt fights back on the outside. He has Ty Dillon with him. Sauter now is moving up the racetrack.
Sauter moves up the racetrack, trying to hold on to that second spot. Now Parker Kligerman on the inside in the 7, making the move, trying to get up there for 3rd, but we see Ty Dillon making the run now on the high side.
That outside line is running by Parker Kligerman. He doesn't really have any help. He's got Justin Lofton, but he's about 4 or 5 truck lengths behind.
That looks like it does back in the day at Daytona and Talladega when you drive to the bottom and say, I'm going to pass all these guys, and they line up on the high side, and they all pass you.
And wave as they go by. Kurt Busch, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Miguel Paludo, and Parker Kligerman, your top 5.
See, Timothy Peters got inside of Tim George Jr., was able to make the pass there. That's for about the 10th spot.
Nelson Piquet is all the way back in the 18th spot right now, Phil, but we've seen him be able to go on the track places other people can't, and we know how fast that truck is on the straightaways. Be interesting to see how long it takes him to make his way back to the front.
He's on the inside now, just got by Brendan Newberry in the 14. Ooh, who's way high?
Way up into the gray stuff. That looked like Ron Hornaday in the 9. Sure enough, he's able to catch it before he got into the wall.
Been a tough day for Ron. His truck wasn't right for qualifying. We heard Hermie report that they worked on it on pit road. Looked like he almost crashed that baby there.
I'm not sure he didn't make a little bit of contact with the outside wall.
We saw Jason White slip earlier. He slid back to the 11th spot. That's Ross Chastain in the watermelon truck right on Jason's tailgate.
And now they fall in line once again. This is the way the start of the race looked. We saw 2 trucks. Here's another look at Ron Hornaday closing in on that wall.
I think he made some contact with the outside wall.
I think the wall straightened him back up a little bit. Got him going in the right direction.
About Miguel Paludo, they're running 4th. Ty Dillon makes the move to the inside of Johnny Sauter. Let's see if that Bass Pro Shops Chevy will stick down there.
He looked like he had a run. Got through the center of the corner, lost that run, and had to tuck back up behind the 13.
And we watched Ty, you know, he's a young man, obviously a fast learner, and that's what I think he did earlier in the race. Went down to the bottom, just felt it out to see what he could do down there. Didn't make it work, but here goes Parker. He's trying to make it work.
Parker Kligerman saw what Ty Dillon did, tried it as well. It didn't work for Parker Kligerman either. And now Kligerman has lost a spot to that 31 of James Buescher.
And lost another one to the 22 of Coulter.
And right behind him is his former truck owner, Brad Keselowski, driving up on the back of Parker Kligerman.
Back of the 6,
what a run
him.
We saw Brad Keselowski having. It sounded as though he was getting out of the throttle early enough to where he didn't have a big run going into the turn.
I just need more speed in this truck, man.
We heard him. I just need more speed in this truck. Just feathering out a bit, just slightly. You see, look at the miles per hour, 179, the minimum miles per hour that he saw in that corner.
Your pickup truck at home won't do this.
Probably not.
No, it hasn't been scienced out to this level.
These things are right. And here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. He's got Matt Crafton behind him, racing alongside Ross Chastain. That's trying to get up toward the top 10 already.
Nelson Piquet, again, was battling for the lead. When he got a little bit loose, got into the 18 of Kurt Busch, dropped all the way back outside the top 15, but now has made his way back up to 13.
Still tough to make it go down the bottom. Those trucks were lined up on the outside. Piquet got up beside Jason White, wasn't able to complete the pass, fell in behind Jason White, side by side with Ross Chastain in the melon truck.
But we've seen this 30 truck be one of the few guys that can hang beside a guy on the front straightaway. Here comes Tim George Jr. to make it 3 wide.
I think Piquet would have loved for Tim George Jr. to jump down behind him and help him, but he elected to make it 3 wide.
That's not going to work, it doesn't appear.
The advantage went to the 08 of Ross Chastain. He was able to move.
Tim George is around.
Tim George Jr. slides around. Can he straighten it out before he gets to the inside wall? He does.
We stay green so far.
No caution has come out as he was able to stay clean.
He blew his right front tire, though, locking the brakes down. So if he tries to go too fast, it'll tear that right front fender right off.
And cause some debris on the racetrack from that tire and fender.
He's going to stay down on the apron to try to make it back to pit road as we stay green.
Look how tight these front trucks are running. Ty Dillon really fast right now. I think he's got a better truck than Johnny Sauter. Hadn't been able to make the move yet. Kurt Busch continuing to lead. He's dominated so far. And how do you dominate in a truck race? Looks like right now by about a half a truck length.
See his last lap up over 184 miles an hour. They have maintained very, very quick speeds this entire race.
Qualifying pace every lap. That's how intense this event is and how these guys have to be so on their game to run lap after lap at qualifying speeds.
Johnny Sauter running in that second spot, just behind him the 3 of Ty Dillon. Kurt Busch has led 46 laps here at Michigan. 3 other trucks have been out front. The 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr. led 14 laps. The 11 of Todd Bodine led 4. And the 29 of Brad Keselowski led 3. Take a look at the spin by the 2 of Tim George Jr. on the right side of your screen.
He just had to chase that truck up the hill a little bit. He knew if he didn't turn left, he was going to run into Nelson Piquet Jr. and he sacrificed his own truck to keep from making it at least a 2-car incident or 2-truck incident.
Look at Johnny Sauter just chewing on the tailgate of Kurt Busch. A little bit of a gap back to Ty now.
Guys, it's been almost 30 laps since the majority of these trucks up front have been to pit road. We're within about 10 laps of a bunch of people. Kurt Busch, Johnny Sauter, Ty Dillon, Kligerman, Coulter all coming to pit road.
Single file line behind that 18 of Kurt Busch. Let's head through the field. Let's start with Ray.
Busch is monitoring, that's hard to say, his air pressures right now, changing some fans around a little bit on that Shore Lodge Toyota. This is chassis number 9, and Denny Hamlin drove this truck to a top 5 finish at Pocono just a few weeks ago. Right behind him, Johnny Sauter in the number 13. There are 2 racetracks on the circuit that Johnny Sauter has not had top 10s at. One of them here at Michigan, the other at Daytona. Sauter says his truck handles really well on entry, just a little bit tight coming off. Hermie?
Well, Ray, Ty Dillon currently runs in the 3rd position. Overall, been a very solid day, especially when you consider the way this team struggled in practice yesterday. They've had very few changes other than air pressure on this truck today. For Ty, it's been mostly about learning how to use the draft on this 2-mile racetrack. Right now, he is 3rd, looking in pretty good shape. Now, the 32 of Miguel Paludo, he is running 4th. We mentioned he's got a new crew chief, Jeff Hensley. He's made his way back through the pack nicely from spending additional time on pit road to add tape to the front of the grill. Right now, his truck is a little bit tight on exit. They'll be back to pit road one more time. The 31 of James Busher been fighting track position all day long. They cannot get the truck out front to where they think James can best do his work. Very few changes to his truck as well. He has fought a tight center-off condition as well. He'll be back to pit road in about 17 laps, according to his crew chief. The 7 truck of Parker Kligerman stayed on the racetrack last time to get some track position. His truck is working best on the high side of the racetrack. His crew chief, Chad Kendrick, says they'll be back in about 14 laps. Again, for Parker Kligerman, his truck is loose on entry. Ray?
Hermie, back in the 7th position is the 22 of Joey Coulter. Coulter running the Rip It energy drink car. He's talking to his crew chief on the radio, Harold Hawley, and he said, what do we need to win this? And Joey came on with a short and sweet answer. We need track position. Let's get it on that last pit stop. Now let's check in on Brad Keselowski.
Well, Ray, you talked about earlier today how Brad Keselowski is evaluating this race truck and race team. Brad's been on the radio the last couple minutes talking about needing more speed in this truck. He said it handles pretty good, but we've got to find some more speed to be more competitive with these guys at racetracks like Michigan. Ray?
4th in points, just 18 out, is Justin Lofton in that number 6 Lofton Cattle Chevrolet. He's in 9th right now, and his crew chief has told him, if you're going to win this race, we're going to have to go up to the high side. That's what it's going to take in the final couple laps. So start searching around and see if you can get your truck to work up there. In our 10th position right now, Nelson Piquet Jr. I told you just a while ago that they pitted for their last set of tires on lap 57. They have options here, and he's already all the way up to 10th. Right now, I think the 30 is in the catbird seat.
Well, Nelson Piquet Jr. has been running some of the fastest laps of anybody on the racetrack.
Yeah, lap before last, he was the fastest truck on the racetrack. And I like what Ray's saying. He's got some options on his fuel. He's got a really fast truck. These guys come to pit road. It'd be interesting to see if Nelson mixes it up a bit. You know, it's interesting. Denny Hamlin told Kyle Busch, you just need a little bit more speed in your truck. I think it handles well. It needs some more speed in it. Well, it has that speed today. Brad Keselowski's saying the same thing about his truck. Be interesting to see if he has it when we go to Bristol. Work on it for a few days, right?
Closing in on the final pit stops from Michigan International Speedway. Kurt Busch out in front of the field. Monday night, the hub rolls. Elliott Sadler, Larry Mack break down the action from Michigan and handicap the race to make the chase. Plus, Greg Biffle stops by to discuss his run at the championship. NASCAR Race Hub Monday, 6 Eastern only on Speed. It's still Kurt Busch out in front of the field. He has Johnny Sauter behind him, and it looks as though Johnny Sauter losing a little bit of pace there to the 3 of Ty Dillon, and it looks as though we're going to have some green flag pit stops right now. Coming on to pit road, your race leader. Look at Johnny Sauter making the run to the inside, trying to get to pit road quicker than that 18 of Kurt Busch.
I'll tell you, going to be advantage to Kurt Busch. He's made so many green flag pit stops in the Cup Series. If he doesn't make any mistakes.
Ray Dunlap.
Keep in mind, they had trouble on Johnny Sauter's number 13 last time. They could not hang the tire in the right rear fender. They'll go to work on that up in front of heat. We see Kurt Busch coming in. This will be a 4-tire stop. These guys come around. Looks like 2 tires. Actually, they're calling off 2 tires. Got gas in it. The 13 will be out ahead of the 18. Kurt Busch spins the tires, leaving the pits.
Great job by Johnny Sauter entering and exiting the pit. You saw him gain on Kurt as they came to the pit road, and then when he left, nice smooth launch. So the team did a nice job, as did Johnny Sauter.
Assuming he didn't speed on pit road, advantage Johnny Sauter on that round.
So now they want to make sure no caution flags fly for those 2 guys that just came onto pit road.
Right now, Brad Keselowski pitted on lap number 52, so he will not have to take as much fuel. He may elect to do just 1 can of fuel, Michael, not worry about changing 2 tires.
No, the times are hanging right in there, Phil. We've seen about 39 flat over the last 40 or 50 laps for most of these trucks. So I like where Brad Keselowski is. I also like where Nelson Piquet Jr. is. He's up to the 8th spot consistently. The last time by, he was the fastest truck. He's only going to need a splash, if that.
Yeah, James Busher's the same way. He's on the same strategy as Keselowski as we see some side-by-side racing.
Well, a great situation here for Johnny Sauter, because Johnny Sauter got out just in front of our race leader. And how about the 7 of Parker Kligerman taking the lead away from Ty Dillon? Now you're seeing the fresher tires and the pit stop taking advantage of that situation with the 18 of Kurt Busch. He works to the inside to try to get in front of race leader Parker Kligerman, so he doesn't need that situation of the Aaron's lucky dog if a caution were to come out. He's out in front of him now.
Would be critical for him. He would be able to stay on the racetrack and have track position, as would Johnny Sauter. Right now, Justin Lofton's on pit road, Ray.
And they're going to go right side tires only. They're going to go up about a pound of air pressure on that right side. And again, remember, they've told Lofton to win this, he's going to have to use the high side of the racetrack. He's done some searching around. Gas can gets plugged in. The guys go to work. They're going to hang right side tires only. They get that tire out of the way, drop the jack, got to get plenty of gas in it. Lofton's away.
Green flag pit stops taking place. They're cycling through. The first ones to come onto pit road was your race leader, Kurt Busch, and he was followed onto pit road by Johnny Sauter in the 13, and now Sauter is still able to stay out in front of race leader Parker Kligerman.
Bad move by Parker Kligerman that time. It looked like he was going to go to the inside of Johnny Sauter. Maybe he just wanted to let Kurt get in front of him because he knows right now he has a track position. He may be having fuel issues.
And they might be coming onto pit road this time. So the 7 of Parker Kligerman, who is your race leader, down on the bottom of the racetrack, looks as though this will be his time to make a pit stop. He's going to be followed by Joey Coulter. Here comes the 3 of Ty Dillon, going to the inside, trying to race his way to that opening line of pit road, as well as Miguel Paludo making the way onto pit road at this time. Hermie.
The 7 of Parker Kligerman, it'll be fuel only. 1 can for the 7. The 3 truck of Ty Dillon also on pit road. It'll be 2 right side tires. It's a no-go fuel for Ty Dillon.
Down on my end, Hermie, the number 22 of Joey Coulter will duck in right in front of Norm Benning. They'll go to the right side there on that Ripid Energy Chevrolet. Remember, earlier, Coulter was very tight, and he said his right rear was not working in the track. It's 2 tires. He goes back out. He'll be right behind his teammate, the number 3 of Ty Dillon.
We're seeing everybody do 2 tires, guys, on these green flag stops.
Look at this battle tires here. This is the eventual leaders if this pit stop cycles through. And Kurt Busch has been to the inside of Johnny Sauter, can't finish the pass. Johnny's hanging tough on the high side. Kurt's dominated, but he can't make his way around Johnny Sauter. Another note, guys, you saw how Parker Kligerman was able to run with both of these trucks on those older tires. They had new tires. They weren't getting away from Parker. This bodes well for Brad Keselowski and Nelson Piquet Jr. Maybe just a splash of gas, if that, along with James Buescher possibly, and these guys could have something at the end.
Right now it's James Buescher who is scored as your race leader in the 31. Brad Keselowski running second. Nelson Piquet Jr., Timothy Peters are your top 4. But again, as you mentioned, the fact of the matter is the 13 and the 18 were the first to make pit stops. Miguel Paludo staying just in front of those two. He was able to get back out in front of Johnny Sauter and Kurt Busch. So you guys, as you mentioned, the race for the lead actually has now been won by Miguel Paludo, getting off of pit road in front of those two trucks.
How about Kurt ducks his left sides down below the yellow line, trying to get by Johnny Sauter, couldn't do it.
And did you see Johnny Sauter? He said, ooh, that's going to be hard to do. And so he slid up the track and saved both those trucks.
And guys, oh, by the way, that Paludo is running in front of those two trucks, and he's already made his pit stop.
And guess what? Ty Dillon and Joey Coulter also are in front of Paludo right now.
Just Kligerman is in front of them.
So they have made their pit stops and have been able to get out in front of Johnny Sauter and Kurt Busch. So as the green flag pit stops continue to cycle through, it could be Parker Kligerman who's your race leader after everyone has pitted.
And what a great job he's done. We saw, like I said, he ran with Kurt, and he ran right with the leaders on his older tires. So that truck's going to be good all the way to the finish.
Nelson Piquet Jr. started second in this race, running in the 3rd position right now, but still has to come to pit road. Again, your race leader is James Buescher in the 31. Brad Keselowski running second. Nelson Piquet Jr. 3rd. Timothy Peters and Matt Crafton are top 5.
These guys know that track position is going to be critical. Ty Dillon was trying to get by Parker Kligerman. Here goes Kurt again, working on Johnny Sauter.
He's been working hard on Johnny Sauter, but can't make the move.
Those two continue side by side. Just in front of them, Miguel Paludo. Again, everyone continues to cycle through green flag pit stops.
I think we can call this thing more than a groove and a half wide now, Phil. Did you see? I know he didn't complete the pass, but he didn't lose much ground either. Kurt Busch way down on the bottom of the racetrack.
And now we've got Brad Keselowski, James Buescher, both have made their way onto pit road. Hermie.
The 29 of Brad Keselowski is on pit road. It'll be fuel only for him. The 31 of James Buescher also fuel only and a wedge adjustment.
Awfully quick pit stop that time for both those guys. I got to believe when they come back on the racetrack, they're going to be out in front of everyone else that's pitted. That's the advantage of taking fuel so late. 52 for one of them, 57 for the other one.
And it's also a tip of the hat to Goodyear for giving these teams options. These tires are so good, they could just get a little bit of gas and be competitive enough to win the race.
Ty Dillon's been able to make his way by the 7 Parker Kligerman with the help of the 22, his teammate, Joey Coulter.
So when everything cycles through, Ty Dillon was in front of the guys who have made their pit stops. We'll see where it shakes out as far as the guys who just came on to pit road, those doing guys, just fuel only.
Those guys I think will be ahead, Rick, because they spent so little time on pit road. You saw just a splash of gas for Buescher. Look at Kurt Busch.
Still Kurt Busch trying to get by that 13 of Johnny Sauter.
He used the 99 of Brian Salas as a pick and was able to make the move around Sauter. Now he'll go after Paludo.
Kurt Busch will come to the back bumper of that 32 of Miguel Paludo. Keselowski, Buescher, those guys are scored 9th and 10th, but Buescher way in front of the guys who have already made their green flag pit stops.
Yeah, right with Brad Keselowski, right with James Buescher.
This is the guy.
Closing in on the final 9 laps of racing. We're going to take a quick break, be right back for the finish of this one from Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway, the VFW 200 presented by Ram on speed, and now strategy going to play out. The 30 is going to try to stay out and not come to pit road. Here's what they had to say on the radio.
You know how to do this.
How big is the lead? I'll tell you when the second place car is at start-finish line, it's a big lead.
The real big lead here.
I want you to slow down. Mike, I want you to get him in behind cars, okay? Get him in behind cars. We're going to slow way down.
All right, let the 6 go here.
And guys, real quickly to add from pit road, they were planning on bringing Nelson Piquet Jr. to pit road the same lap that James Buescher came down, but they only needed 2 seconds of fuel. So at the last second, crew chief Chris Carrier decided to make an audible. He said, I think we can win this thing. Remember what a heartbreak they had at Pocono at our last race. They had the dominant truck and did not win. Today, they're rolling the dice, and it's going to be awfully close on fuel.
From the drop of the green flag, we knew that the 30 and the 18 were the class of the field. And the 30 got shuffled back after battling for the lead, hit the 18, got sideways, and now they're playing the pit strategy gamble of staying out on the fuel.
He's trying to spin to win. That dictated them coming to pit road, getting gas, losing a lot of track position. Heck, there was no way he was going to be able to catch those guys. So the pit crew, Carrier, decides we're going to stay out and take a chance. Phil, this is an awful long run to the checker flag for this truck.
Certainly it's 43 laps, and they only had 2 or 3 laps of caution. That's right on the edge of the window.
He has 6 miles to go. 3 laps of racing remain. He has 6 miles. Can he have enough fuel if he slows down as much as he has to be able to get to the finish line?
See Jason White, he's still running faster than Jason White. Jason White's trying to do the same thing, as well as Ryan Sieg in the 39, Cale Gale in the 33.
Yeah, your whole top 5 is just rolling out of the gas and trying to coast their way home. Meanwhile, back in 6, James Buescher leads Ty Dillon and Parker Kligerman. They're running the fastest laps on the track. But there's no way they're going to catch Nelson Piquet Jr. if he doesn't run out of fuel.
Less than 2 laps remaining for the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr.
The top 5 right now all have pitted on lap 57 or 58. They're on the same strategy.
Do not step on the gas in the corners. Roll through the corners.
Yeah, he needs to slow down more, Phil. He's got 14 seconds of a lead, and he just needs to make it 2 laps. I'd slow way down as long as I got enough gas to make it to the finish. And
well, he slowed down, that's for sure.
And right now, he comes out of turn number 4. This time by, he's going to see the white flag. One more time around Michigan International Speedway. 2 miles. Does he have enough fuel?
And we know he's not going to get a green-white checker because he's already taken the white flag.
How about his dad's 60th birthday present? He's got a commemorative deck lid to...
We are not racing them. We are not racing them behind us.
A commemorative paint job on the truck for his dad, and he's trying to limp home to win this race.
Nelson Piquet Jr. racing down the backstretch, was looking for a win in the Camping World Truck Series. His first win in NASCAR came in the K&N Pro Series. Then he moved over and got a win in the Nationwide Series. Can he make it a trifecta in 2012? Coming out of turn number 4. Does he have enough fuel to make it in front of Jason White? Coming to the checkered flag. It's Nelson Piquet Jr. winning at Michigan.
Series winner.
We finally did it. We finally did it. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you very much, Chris and Andrew, the whole crew, for keeping along with us. Oh, my God, what a feeling. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Turner.
What about the last couple weeks? Joey Coulter just so grateful and so thankful to his family to drive to victory lane, and now Nelson Piquet. You could just hear the emotion and what it means to him to be the latest NASCAR Camping World Truck Series winner.
He stretches it 43 laps, 86 miles on a tank of fuel. Let's hear from his crew chief.
Well, I'm standing by with Chris Carrier, and a bit of a gutsy move. How concerned were you?
Concerned. You know, I've watched several of these races, this series and the other 2 series, end kind of like this. And you know what? It's I keep telling people in this business, a lot of the young guys that come along, you know, we all kind of forget, but this is an entertainment business. You know, it's what we're all about. It's a very competitive entertainment business, but I've got so much confidence in this young man. I've seen him before. I saw it last year many times, how he could save fuel. It was uncanny, and he does it naturally. I don't know how. I didn't teach him, I can tell you that. I get the worst gas mileage in my truck of anybody in the world. You know, my daughter reminds me of that a lot. But anyway, great day for Turner Motorsports. Great day for all our sponsors on this car: Qualcomm, AutoTrack, WebSense, everybody that supports this, Alpine Stars. Just a great day. Chevrolet, man, this Silverado was strong. It's been strong the last 2 weeks. I'm very happy of that young man out there doing burnouts, Brazilian burnouts. He's got a great heart. He's very committed. A lot of talent.
Go enjoy Victory Lane. That's Chris Carrier. He gets a victory with Nelson Piquet Jr. And we will talk to him in Victory Lane after this.
And we saw the spelling of the name on the side of that truck. P-I-K-E-T. His father did that so that his father didn't know that he was racing. If that wouldn't have happened, Nelson Piquet Jr. may never have made it to NASCAR, to the career that he has had. But right now, he's in Victory Lane, a winner at Michigan International Speedway. A thrilling finish here at Michigan International Speedway, and the truck did make it to Victory Lane. Let's go to Ray.
Here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. climbing out of his Autotrack Chevrolet. In his 42nd start, the Brazilian is now a winner in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, and what a way to celebrate your dad's birthday. You told me he's out in Vegas. I'm sure he and a lot of folks and friends are having a great time today.
I hope so. I wish he was here with us watching this race. This was his birthday yesterday, and obviously the whole homage I did for him. So I'm hoping he's having a lot of fun, and obviously this victory is for my team as much for my father that's been helping me my whole career. And thank you everybody in NASCAR for all the support, all the new fans, and everybody. It's finally an amazing moment that I made it in the Truck Series. Now we have a K&N, a Truck Series, and a nationwide win. Now we're on our way to Cup soon.
They told you with about 8 to go, Nelson, you needed to pit. You were about ready to come down pit road, and Chris called the audible. How concerned were you at that point?
Well, one of those things, you know. I think if we were second or third in the championship, I would be more concerned. Because we fell back a little bit on the points, I said, well, let's just go for it. I was all aboard with him, and we went for the win.
Congratulations, Nelson Piquet Jr. is our 10th different winner in 12 races in 2012. Let's go to the other end of pit road and check in with Hermie.
Well, Dakota Armstrong is our third place finisher. This team has been showing signs all year long. It finally came together for you today. Congratulations on a solid run.
Yeah, you know, really worked out. Good strategy. We were having problems in the pits today. You know, I did mess up, and then the guys kind of messed up a little bit. But, you know, to come back and get that good finish was awesome. We were actually about 3 laps short there, and we kind of fell back a little bit and was losing the drafts, and kind of decided to go into conservative mode. So I got to thank my fellow competitors for not throwing out a yellow there, and I don't know how there wasn't more cautions with this crazy racing, but, you know, a lot of fun here at Michigan, and glad that we can get the number 98 Air5 Toyota up front.
That's Dakota Armstrong. He comes home third.
Only 5 cautions today, and one of those was brought out by the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr. as we take a look at our Ram Guts and Glory battling for the lead. Coming off of turn number 2, sideways goes your eventual winner.
We saw him side by side with Kurt Busch so many times there. That time he lost control, got loose. He didn't give up, though.
And how many times has calling an audible got guys to Victory Lane? You can see Piquet into the side of Busch, and around he goes. They use this spin to get tires, get gas, and eventually get to Victory Lane.
The top 3 stayed out, used fuel conservation to get career best finishes by Nelson Piquet Jr., Jason White, and Dakota Armstrong. Stay with us.
Wednesday night.
Our Just for Men auto stop fastest pit stop was fast, but maybe not fast enough. Parker Kligerman was fastest on pit road.
He was first in class, though. He finished 4th. He was a top finishing guy that had to make a green flag pit stop since our last caution flag.
How about his last lap? He outrun our leader by 7 seconds.
And let's hear from the man with the Just for Men auto stop fastest pit stop. He's with Ernie Sadler.
Parker Kligerman talking to crew chief Chad Kendrick. You said you thought you won the race. You didn't, but nevertheless a solid 4th place finish your first time out in this truck.
Yeah, I thought passing the 31 there, no one had told me there was fuel mileage racing going on. So when we passed the 31 off 4, I was like, last lap pass for the win. This is awesome. Woo! And then we didn't win. So we were 4th, but it's a great start for this number 7 Red Horse team. Thank you to Toyota, TRD, Tom DeLoach. You know, everyone's made this possible. All the people have gotten me to this point in my career. So, you know, I look at this run right here and say that this is a team that can go win this championship. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity, and I can't thank my teammates enough for the work they put in practice to get this truck as fast as it could.
And what are your plans with this team for the rest of the season? Do you need additional sponsorship? Tell us what you need to do to run the rest of the season.
We always need more stickers on the car. Come on, that's an obvious question. But no, we intend to go run for the championship. If we can stay in the championship hunt, there's no reason that we can't go and win this thing, and there's no reason not run the whole season.
That's Parker Kligerman. He comes home fourth.
Well, if you're going to talk about the championship hunt, let's take a look at that championship hunt. How about Kurt Busch coming up and congratulating Nelson Piquet Jr. Those two definitely were the class of the field. Let's look now at our Ram point standings. Timothy Peters, Ty Dillon, tied.
Yeah, we talked before at the top of the show. Our chase has already begun here. You see 17 points back to Justin Lofton. Parker Kligerman only 25 behind now.
We didn't do anything today to clear that picture up. We just made it more confusing. This chase for the championship in the Truck Series is going to go right down to Miami. And, man, it's a good one right now.
Things have tightened up here, and it gets a little tighter. We go to Bristol on Wednesday, and we'll have qualifying. That starts at 5 o'clock Eastern. Then the Whelen Modified Series follows our qualifying show at 6, and things will get a little hairy when we go to Bristol.
A modified racetrack. They've worked on that racetrack since we were there last for the Cup and the Nationwide Series.
A lot of bumping and banging. Worst damage to the 11 of Todd Bodines, but it was fuel mileage that ultimately got the first or second foreign-born driver to get to victory lane in the Camping World Truck Series. Nelson Piquet Jr. wins his first Camping World Truck Series at Michigan.